So real quick, we are from Kern County, which we're actually part of the southern cadre, but we all know what happened then, right? So my name is Karis Briley, and I am representing Captain Kern, the cadre for Kern County in Southern California. Our first 2 years, we actually were part of the Northern cadre, and our second year, this is our second year with the Southern. So Kern County has the 11th largest population in California, with Bakersfield and surrounding areas, with the total population at last count was 855,498 people. But I moved there in July, so it's now 499. Captain Kern has a diverse membership consisting of Kern County Superintendent Schools SELPA county programs. We have Bakersfield City School Districts, Kern High School District, Hearts Connection Family Resource, and then we're also supported by the Diagnostic Center of Central California. So let's start with Baker City's school district. They have 44 schools and an enrollment of over 30,000 students. Their cadre members include Tracy Holdcraft, Aurora Noonan, and Nikki Stiles. Tracy's a behavior management specialist. She works with autism, moderate severe kids. Aurora is a school psychologist, and Nikki is a classroom teacher who worked into a program specialist position. They have 41 self-contained programs with students with ASD. Their pre-K through 8th grade program supports approximately 400 students, and they are a big part of our open house. Next, we have our Kern High School District. Kern High School District includes Lee Ramos, Holly Mell, Courtney Heiler, and Christy Radman. Kern High School District actually is the, I believe, 11th largest school district in the state of California. They're currently running 2 cohorts to support teachers and working with students with autism spectrum disorder. The first cohort was last year. Now we're adding a new one this year. So, in addition, we have the Kern County Superintendents of Schools. This is Rob. He's the one member of the cohort of the cadre from Kern County Superintendents of Schools. He's a behavior specialist. He works to provide training for teachers. He, I believe, has 9 best practice days, and he also coaches teachers in the area. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 days of training, on evidence-based practices. He's a captain advocate, and he helps organize the Kern open house that we have. He's even been known to be seen in a Cal State class or 2. So. This is our KCOS, our Kern County Superintendent of SELPA. So the county schools and the SELPA are actually separate, but we're both members of the cadre. We have me, Karis, and then my friend Diana, who's also part of it. She's a school psychologist. I'm program specialist for our county. Diana and I both work. We have a 9-day professional development for our credential teachers, and then we have 30 hours of professional development for our paras. We include 2 structured observations and a best practice rubric in this. We also try to provide coaching sessions, and then we do monthly competency reports. Here's some of our crazy SELPA people having a good time. A little way too much fun here at the SELPA in Southern California. Don't be jealous. We also have a parent support program called Hearts Connection, and Susan Graham is our director. They're a resource for families with students who not only have autism spectrum, but are also have other developmental issues. They work to support families, support groups, things like that. They also worked really closely with us in our implementation of our open house that we had, and they've done a really good job of providing training and letting parents know about Captain and the resources that they can get being part of Captain. We said we're supported by the Diagnostic Center of Central California. Our representative in our cadre is Laura Lavery. She's an education specialist. She has worked with students with autism since day one of her, I believe, 28-year career, something like that. If you know Laura and I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. If you don't tell her I was wrong. They participate in projects with CDE and then CDC. They have training all over California, just a few of them: Fresno, Kern, Mariposa, Merced, and even San Joaquin. They travel all over. Laura actually travels quite a bit and presents. Our biggest project that we did last year was our open house. We invited people from all over Kern and their families to come and learn about the support system that we have in Captain and the support system that they have available as a member of the Kern community. It was quite well received. This is Lee Ramos, in case you missed his picture earlier, presenting. We shared some information with everybody on evidence-based practices, some of the resources that are available to them, and just general discussions about how we can support families and students as they navigate lives with children with ASD. And this is our last. As you can tell, they're extremely excited, very involved, and very, very glad to be there. So, in closing, we want to thank the Captain leadership for making it possible. Thanks to the Northern Cadre for including us and welcoming us back in spite of our summit being canceled, and really everybody for everything that we all do to make the lives of students on the spectrum and their families and their teachers better. So thank you from the Kern County Cadre.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Roundtree. I'm representing Captain X. Again, we're from the South as well. Captain X, we chose X because we're Region 10 in Southern California, one of the largest regions encompassing San Bernardino County, Riverside County, Inyo Mono, etc. So last year when we came to Summit, in case you guys didn't notice or remember, it was the mannequin challenge all over the place. Everyone was doing theirs, so we did ours as well as a way to get pumped and inspired for what we would be doing moving forward. So, you know, we try to bring the fun every once in a while because we do a ton of things pretty serious, but, you know, you gotta have some fun. As you can see, I'm stealing the trophy. Those centerpieces were awesome last year. I had to take it. So, it's pretty hard to hold some of those poses. I was surprised that she was able to hold that water bottle. So as we're sitting there, we were going through trying to discuss what our mission would be as far as moving forward and spreading this information. And we really talked about creating some products that really helped people within our region to identify with us. We spread the word about Captain, but really who is that resource for you guys within your region? Those people that are close by that can really share that info with you. So we created various products. The only way we were able to do that was dividing up into subcommittees. So one of our subcommittees was a brochure committee. The year previous to this, we had created a brochure already with information about us, our region, who's included, who's your contacts, what's Captain, what do we do, what are we all about? But we realized that we were really missing a large majority of our groups, so we had to create a brochure in Spanish to really reach everybody. We also had the additional committee for the Learn the Signs Act Early Act, and she really worked together with one other cadre member to make sure this information was out there so we could get these flyers created. One of the biggest things, though, what we're working on moving forward is just figuring out how do we get these printed and distributed, you know, how do we get the funding or resources related to that. We do have it electronically, but, you know, moving forward. Another committee we had is our newsletter committee. So the previous year we had worked on putting out 4 newsletters at once. Found out it was pretty difficult to complete, knowing the schedules of all of us and what we were trying to do. So we did back it up to do a spring and fall edition. Within our newsletters, we really focused on 2 evidence-based practices. What does it look like in the home and community? What does it look like in the educational setting? Giving some examples, resources related to that. But again, moving forward from that, realizing we weren't reaching all of our members, all of our community, we worked together to get them translated into Spanish as well, and really creating those resources and sharing that information for everyone that would be accessing our information. We also have a conference committee, and within the conference committee for the last 3 years now, we've done our regional conference, and what we really try to do is focus on what a typical theme that's going around. So our last year topic was access for all. So really, how are we using evidence-based practices to help students feel included in multiple areas? Kathy Wyman from our leadership team came out and did a great keynote for us, and then we had multiple breakout sessions. So we had originally thought we would have 200 people. We had such a large waiting list, we extended it to 226 based off of what we could accommodate in the facility. We did 5 breakout sessions, 2 were presented one time, and 3 were repeated in the morning and afternoon breakouts. They were well attended. We had Kathy come and speak to our group really about what is inclusion? What does it look like? Is it having a kid come and sit at recess and just be present with others, or how do we really work on getting them included? So Kathy did a great job sharing her experiences, connecting with the audience, and really helping them feel like they had a better understanding of what inclusion looks like and how we could be more supportive of our students. We ended the day with a panel of young adults on the spectrum, and it was actually really well received. I believe we had 4 young adults there. And you can see right here the eval that we put out, majority of the scores were 5, based off of hearing their experiences, what they had to say, and really having that connection with them. In order to really help them feel prepared for the event, we did come together and create a specific list of questions to help prompt them and prepare them for that activity. Our conference, we really were pushing to go green. We worked to get a conference app put together where they could create their own schedules, see their breakout sessions that they would go to, and then we had the link for the evals right there for them to access. I will say it didn't go as well as we thought it would. So we're troubleshooting what that looks like, including that information in registration, and maybe having some actual handouts for evals because we didn't get as much of that feedback we were looking for. We also had 12 resource booths that came. We created an application, asked them if they would come, what the topic was that we were presenting on, asked if they were willing to donate raffle items for our raffle, which ended up being a huge activity at the end. These are all the booths that we were able to reach out to, connect, brought tons of information and shared. Great turnout. One of the next committees we have is our Community Outreach Committee. And over this course of this past year, we were able to reach out and connect with University of Redlands and provided a number of autism overview trainings to their teacher prep courses, or during their teacher prep courses. As well as we're making connections at Cal State San Bernardino, working with their advisors over there. We haven't actually been able to set up the training yet, but we're still working on that. Something additional that our outreach committee does is work with our FRN friends, our regional center group, and just really working with those parent groups. So we provided a number of trainings to our parents in the Festiva Educativa. And one thing that was challenging for us, and we really had to figure out how to overcome that, was everyone that was there was speaking in Spanish. Everything was presented in Spanish, so working with the translator, but it was great for the parents and getting the information out there. Additionally, looking at our captain goals, knowing we have a number of trainings that we have to do, our coaching, we were trying to figure out how are we keeping track of everything. So on a Google Doc, we had everyone just go in and plug in all the trainings we're doing, various trainings, all the different coaching opportunities. So it's just a way for us to really keep track of everything that we're accomplishing over the region. So I threw this in there because everyone's familiar with it, but one thing, it's extremely powerful tool for us in every training that we're doing. And so thank you so much for creating it and having it available in Spanish as well. But one thing that we've done beyond just a basic EBP training is throw it into all of our other trainings and highlight those evidence-based practices that we're using or that are embedded within those trainings, and really helping our teachers and everyone make those connections. For our quarterly meetings, so we have quarterly meetings like everyone else does. We also have meetings for our conference committee because, like Ann said earlier, it takes a whole year to prepare for a conference. But in going through that and discussing, we build that connection as that team and really are able to share resources. And we notice that we're sharing things via email, one here, one there. So we decided to create a Captain X team drive where we're sharing everything via Google Docs. We also have a social media subcommittee, and we are currently on Facebook and Instagram, and we're working to build our social media presence, our footprint, however you want to call it. So we're looking to add things to that, but again, it's a team effort. So a little bit at a time we're adding to it, so please feel free to follow us. And thank you from Captain X. Just here's all of us that are included: Riverside, Desert Mountain. You can see everyone. And our new sweatshirt, again, part of our branding of who we are. We had t-shirts, but now we have sweatshirts to be comfy. And then on the back, it's our information about how to follow us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting us. My name is Jean Johnson. I work for the Lanterman Regional Center, and our captain cadre is called Captain LA1. We are one of 3 captain cadres that work together with the Los Angeles Unified School District, and we also have a couple of other districts that work with us in our captain activities. Each year, our work begins with regional collaboration meetings in which our team members review the objectives set forth at the annual summit and begin planning our training and community participation activities. Our Captain 1 cadre consists of members from Los Angeles, Glendale, Burbank Unified School Districts, and the Frank D. Lanterman Regional Center. Our first product this year was our local regional brochure, which describes the role of captain in our community and provides links to local captain participant agencies. The reverse side lists many of the helpful links highlighted on the captain website, so people can just click on those and get some of the good information. This year, we were invited to develop a training in collaboration with the Lanterman Regional Center Community Dental Fair. The dental fair brings dentists, hygienists, and OTs together with the objective of introducing clients to the dental checkup experience and some of the activities they may expect when visiting the dentist. Our presentation discussed how evidence-based practices, such as task analysis, visual supports, and self-management techniques, can be applied in daily routines to support learning and the use of good dental habits on a regular basis. Parents were able to develop a customized visual task analysis, learn how to apply token reinforcement to support each step in the process, and to select individualized reinforcer icons reflecting a favored activity, video, or other item as a reinforcer for completing the steps on the visual schedule. Families were introduced to the concepts of social narratives and video modeling to familiarize children with the activities and visual stimuli they're likely to encounter during their visit to the dentist. Resources for social narratives and video modeling were accessed through the Autism Speaks website. Teachers at Los Angeles Unified School District earned salary points for participating in trainings on evidence-based practices, such as video modeling this year. Evidence-based practices are embedded in trainings offered for school site professional development for both autism teachers and the general education teachers. LAUSD also offers parent workshops on autism spectrum disorders in a series of 5 topics offered twice per year. Workshop topics include evidence-based practices, supporting communication, behavior acquisition and independence, social communication skills, and topics involving high-functioning autism. Stephanie's Day is a resource fair sponsored by CBS Los Angeles that provides families and children impacted by autism and other special needs with valuable resources and information. Student and family engagement is encouraged through fun activities that the children participate in with their parents. LAUSD's Autism Support Team's booth at Stephanie's Day promoted information on Captain and shared resources on evidence-based practices. This year's event showcased implementation of social skills instruction. There's 2 of our LAUSD autism teachers manning the booth. The materials provided through the CDC's Learn the Sign Act Early campaign were individualized to connect our community with our local regional center and LEA early intervention points of entry. Our goal this year is to disseminate our regionalized brochure to facilitate early identification of children at risk for ASD. Our annual interagency collaborative conference on autism and evidence-based practice provided training for parents, service providers, regional center staff, and community members. Pictured here are our conference organizers and distinguished speakers, including Sari Glassgold and Patricia Yasuda from the USC USED, and our LAUSD autism support teachers. Patrice Yasuda began our day with an exciting overview of Captain, including the history of Captain, the unique features of this statewide collaborative. She discussed statewide Captain initiatives and future directions for Captain in disseminating knowledge about ASD and evidence-based practices in our communities. LAUSD autism support teachers presented on basic evidence-based practices for use in classrooms, homes, residential, and day program settings. This year, we highlighted functional communication, promoting independence using self-management, and supporting social skills development and interactions. Transition from educational services to work and college were discussed in a panel presentation. Employment development resources in the community were discussed. The limited evidence-based research on the needs, challenges, and effective support strategies that may support this population was also considered. Rochelle, a delightful young woman with autism, explained her experiences proceeding through the community college system to attain her AA degree, and then her current work at Cal State University in Northridge in pursuit of her BA in Visual Arts and Animation. She had just landed her first real job, and the audience was thrilled for her. Community generic resources presented informational tables connecting parents, regional center staff, service providers, and teachers in the audience to the important diagnostic, treatment, job development, and parent support groups in our community. Service providers interested in learning more about implementing evidence-based practices also attended. The group pictured here is a residential provider staff team participating in our pilot endeavors to train residential facility staff in the use of evidence-based practice with Fidelity. The lead staff have undertaken training using the Affirm modules on visual scheduling to reduce self-injury in one resident. Photographs of the resident undergoing activities of daily living and recreational activities were selected to develop visual supports and scheduling. The lead staff will learn how to use Fidelity of implementation measures in their ongoing staff training activities. 2018 begins with an Administrator's Appreciation Luncheon, where school district and regional center administrators who support our captain activities can be updated on our goals and achievements and included in discussing future plans. And some of the future plans we have are listed there, continuing the work of captain.
I'm Amy Ochoa. Kim Kapoor. And we come to you from the southern region. We are part of, the OC captain, specifically representing Irvine Unified School District today. Before we jump into our project specifics, we'll tell you a little bit about our district. We're a very large district. So here we go. So IUSD is a decentralized school district that educates a diverse population of more than 30,000 K through 12 students. We have 1 preschool, 3 K through 8 elementary schools, 23 K through 6 elementary schools, 6 middle schools, 4 comprehensive high schools, 1 continuation high school, 1 adult transition school serving ages 18 to 22. And then just a kind of a fun fact, we've opened 6 schools in the last 4 years. Yeah. In regards to our autism-specific programs, across 11 schools, we have 24 autism-specific classrooms. In addition to our teachers, we run like a 2-to-1 student-to-staff ratio. Each autism-specific classroom is staffed with 1 classroom behavior intervention that's also supported by 1 lead BI. We have 5 of them for our district. We have 9 BCBAs in our district. We're very fortunate. And then myself, autism coordinator. So for our project inspiration, our district is very large. We had some disconnects in regards to grade transitions. And so students were being exposed to some EBPs at one level, then not necessarily exposed to them at the next level. And so consistent EBP usage was definitely necessary. And so we use this project as like a vehicle to do so. So for our project structure, teachers were paired based off of the sending and receiving teams, preschool to kindergarten, 6th grade to middle school to high school to our adult transition. So Kim and I trained the trainers, the behavior specialists, and then they led the groups. So building excitement and buy-in. We quickly learned through last year's summit how important to build the excitement was for the teachers. We presented it as an opportunity and that they had a deadline that they had to apply by in order for us to consider them for the project. And in regards to the behavior specialist group, we presented it as a special project and they would have the opportunity to work closely with a small group of teachers. So as you can see on the slide, the selected EBPs. So for preschool and kindergarten, they chose functional communication training. 6th grade through middle school was task analysis. Middle school and high school chose video modeling. High school to adult transition programs, they did self-management. So in regards to the captain resources that were utilized, okay, was the captain classroom observation forms, the coaching logs, the video modeling training, and the what are EBPs for ASD training. So the behavior specialists only utilize these trainings that were just mentioned. They did not have to create new ones or utilize any other trainings for supplemental support for the material and the presentations. After the large group training, the behavior specialists then met with their 2 teachers and provided training to their teacher pairings. And then once their trainings were presented, the teachers were ready to go.
All right, so our preschool and kindergarten group did functional communication training. There was a wide range of skills across those preschool and kinder students. So here's some examples of how they individualized FCT for their students. On the left, there's a simple visual for requesting, which the student will place an icon of the desired item. On the right, you guys see a photo of just a traditional textbook. Again, more preschool and kindergarten materials. On the left, this would be used during a whole group activity. The student could select a book or a song using one of the items. On the right, there's an example of the use of technology for FCT, again, teaching simple requests. Looks like it was an iPad in that case. For our 6th and middle school, they did task analysis. Again, these photos show the individualized use of the EBP. On the left, we have a task analysis of a morning routine, which was individualized for each particular student's needs. The student would match the icon once they complete each step. On the right, this is just a super quick written out task analysis on a laminated piece of paper. It could be taken anywhere and everywhere and customized. For our 7th grade group, when they start doing simple vocational tasks such as light clerical or cleaning and clerical work, this is a task analysis for wiping tables with a list of all the steps and then individual cards that would also match up with that list. All right, middle and high school, they got video modeling. At these grade levels, you guys know there's an increased emphasis on self-care and life skills, such as cooking. Teachers were really excited to learn about a new way to teach these skills. On the left, you can see one of our teachers making a video model of staff making nachos. On the right, there's a student who's actually watching the video model as she went through all the steps and made the nachos. This was a video, I'm sorry that it's now just a photo for you guys, but this is was a video of a video model being made. Again with nachos, we like nachos in Orange County, apparently. Everyone likes nachos. High school adult transition, we did self-management, and surprisingly, there was not a big emphasis on self-management with this group, but the teachers were really eager to learn more. On the left, this is a morning checklist of to-dos, and the student would check off as they go. On the right, same idea, but it's more individualized for that particular student. There was more in-depth, I think, information on exercises for that student. More self-management on the left. This is a check-as-they-go vocational task analysis for paper recycling, which is an on-campus vocational training activity. On the right, same idea. It's for bottles and cans. The students also use similar supports on their off-campus job sites. Also not pictured, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the self and match system, but we love self and match. For self-management, we use that as well. So successes of our project, I think the biggest success is that we gave our AUT-specific teachers a chance to collaborate. They honestly don't have this opportunity often unless they're discussing incoming student IEPs, so this was a big deal for them. And then our other big success is that there was more consistent and accurate use of EBPs across grade level transitions, just not familiarity. Lessons learned, the teachers are more motivated when they can individualize their use of EBPs and see that they're meeting students' needs. We did learn, obviously, that collaboration was vital to make sure that the teachers implemented the EBPs with fidelity across the grade levels. And our coaches saw a shift in needed support levels. Once the teachers were trained, they were much more confident and they took ownership of implementation. Moving forward, we want to continue our captain efforts in our district with a specialized project. We're not sure what direction we want to take that in. We have a lot of ideas. We still want to focus, though, on teacher collaboration.
Hi, good afternoon. We are from Stockton Unified School District, so we are a large district located here in Stockton. I'm Angela Dunn. I'm an autism specialist with the district.
I'm Felisa Williams. I'm an inclusion specialist with Stockton Unified.
Nirali Darji, occupational therapist with Stockton Unified.
B. Perez, speech therapist with Stockton Unified.
So we have a large group today. This is actually Nirali's idea, so our occupational therapist's idea to do this. She said it would be fun. She's like, let's do it, it'll be fun. It's like, sure, Nirali, we'll go with you. So here we are. So this is our first time doing this style of presentation, so bear with us. So our district began our autism program 7 years ago. The first step in the process was to identify key leaders who would be vital in developing our program. We have a preschool team and a primary team, and these are the individuals that make up our autism team. So we have a special education administrator, we have 2 program specialists, we have 2 autism specialists, 2 inclusion specialists, 2 occupational therapists, and we just added our first speech therapist. So members of our autism leadership team collaborate together to share our knowledge district-wide. It is our goal to create awareness, provide opportunities for training, and increase the fidelity of implementation of EBPs. If we can ensure that members in our district are using EBPs, then we can improve the outcomes for students with autism. So this is where we begin to connect all of the pieces together. Having a uniform team working together, collaborating, we can ensure that the same information is being delivered. We have 3 main target groups that we aim to get the information to. So we have we aim to get it to special education staff, general education staff, and parents. So in order to address the needs of the district, we provide over 50 trainings a year. A major part of what our team does is to provide district-wide trainings. These trainings focus on large groups, and we hope to reach all of the individuals that work with students with autism on a daily basis. This is our way of setting students up for success. These are the different trainings that we offer throughout the school year.
Foundations is a series of 5 all-day trainings provided to general ed and special education staff. Each day focuses on a different topic, including an introduction to autism, visual support, sensory and behavior strategies, functional communications, and executive functioning and inclusive practices. Our executive functioning training is provided to gen ed and special ed staff as well, and it focuses on staff working with students who are primarily in the gen ed setting. And we focus on the following executive functioning deficits, including self-regulation, organization, behavior management, and socializing.
So this is our Google Drive that we use for evidence-based practices. We often get asked in our trainings how our participants can get more information on EBPs. So we created a Google Drive. So we have 27 different folders, one for each of the EBPs, and we upload resources and materials into this. And so everyone who has attended our training has access to this Google Drive so they can get the resources.
Our trainings for special ed administrators generally focus on the referral process for services provided by our ALT team members. We also give information about the new duties of a lot of the ALT members that have just recently been hired. And Special ed administrators are also invited to the foundations trainings as well. Our trainings for the school psychologists focus on how to access the Google Drive, because they generally will be the first people that staff members at each individual school ask for resources and support. They are also included in the foundations trainings, and our team also helps support them in choosing assessments and behavioral strategies when working with students with autism across the district.
So we were invited by State Preschool also because the teachers wanted the information. So it was our goal to help them to identify the signs up, provide information on how to make a referral, and then also we wanted to equip the teachers to be able to work with students with autism in their gen ed classrooms, because we're sending so many students from an SDC preschool to gen ed.
Our team also provides trainings for high school staff, working with older students. We support staff in evidence-based practices commonly used in the primary level, and we make them more applicable to high school students. For example, graphic organizers and task analysis, making them more useful for work completion and reports. And we also help support them in working with students that are college-bound.
So the Autism Leadership Team does several trainings throughout the year, tailored to specific audiences, including the teachers, paraprofessionals, and SLPs. Now, the big part of the trainings is to ensure the implementation of EBPs with Fidelity. So our autism training modules where we introduce and teach EBPs are followed by ITMs and Fidelity check meetings. So the modules, the preschool team does training modules throughout the year for the whole preschool staff. They are done once a month as a full-day training, focused on teaching, implementation, and problem solving on the EBPs. We are in the process of replicating the same model in the primary world by offering them training modules during after-school hours. The ITMs are monthly meetings with the classroom staff and the interdisciplinary team. The ITMs serve as an opportunity to discuss specific concerns or barriers in the implementation of EBPs. The ITMs act as a platform for Q&A sessions and problem solving on specific issues. The Fidelity check meetings they are regularly scheduled meetings with the teacher and staff of either 1 or 2 classrooms at a time. The teachers reach out to the support staff to troubleshoot, demonstrate strategies, or ask questions regarding the EBP of the month. It acts as a kind of self-reflection for the teachers as well as for the support staff.
So parent trainings, to make sure that we generalize all of our skills that the kids are learning in the classrooms, we make sure we have parent trainings, and we open these up to all parents in the district. We're doing parent coffees, community advisory committee meeting, and then we're also hosting Autism 101. In our parent coffees, these are held once a month, and they're about an hour long, and truly, we have coffee and we have donuts, and if you give them donuts, they will come. And there's generally about 20 to 40 parents that show up, and these are the different topics that we're covering. And we also give them make and takes to use at home. So we're teaching them about the different EBPs. We also host the Community Advisory Committee once a year. Our team does this. And the training is open to all parents, not just the special ed parents. And this year we focused on social skills and typical play development. And we had special guests come from the Family Resource Network and VMRC. And then we also do an Autism 101. And what Autism 101 is an introduction of our program for parents coming into our program. And it's a 2-hour-long presentation. It's done now in Spanish and in English. And we cover all of the EBPs that we're using in the classrooms. And we really try to encourage our new parents coming in to attend so they get an overview of what's going on at school. And then we also have activities for parents where we're providing parent nights with different activities to promote partnership with the school. And we have things like bingo for books, where parents come and they play bingo and then they get to play for books. And it really makes parents feel empowered, and it just creates that partnership with the school, and it results in better outcomes for the students.
We're members of the Captain of the New Waves. We're from the Los Angeles area. We're considered Region Group 1, and we consist of 8 SELPAs, 2 regional centers, and 1 FRC. Our goal has been for the last 5 years to do a mini captain. And so finally, it seemed like last year was the great year to do that, and we went ahead and worked together at creating that. My name is Jennifer Fisher.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Chavez. I'm the Director of Special Education for ABC Unified.
And I'm Nitsa Fregosi. I'm a speech and language pathologist at Norwalk La Mirada School District.
And this is the rest of our team members. So we have a pretty big cadre member team, again, with the 8 SELPAs and 2 regional centers and family resource center. We have lots of resources within our area. WASEP, which is Whittier Area Cooperative Special Education Program, was willing to host. They had a large enough facility to hold a large group, just like this one, and the breakout sessions. The point and the training objective was to increase the understanding of ASD and implementation of the EBPs in home, school, and community. They created a Google Drive registration, which was helpful so people could choose which breakout sessions they wanted to go to, as well as input from keeping the paperwork green, trying not to have lots of paper, and also keeping track of where people were going. Participation, we had approximately 70 participants, ranging from behavior aides to parents to directors of special education, as well as special ed coordinators. You can see here the itinerary for the day with registration in the morning, the large group instruction after that, and then the breakout sessions. We did the name tags and put where the groups were going. We tried to have no groups more than 25 people so it could keep it manageable. We opened with Autism 101, and it was just to kind of get an opportunity to provide a common foundation for the group. And the team that presented was myself from the Southwest SELPA and West San Gabriel Valley.
So we started off kind of with a mini boot camp. We talked about what Captain was, we talked about the national research project, and that this was just a big movement that they would be participating in and be part of. And we used the PowerPoint presentation that's available on the Captain website. So we didn't have to reinvent that. You might notice the slide. I think someone else had the same exact slide up in their picture. So we just took right from the website. We talked about what evidence-based practices were, how to access them. We had a little bit of controversial conversation about what is listed as an evidence-based practice and what isn't, because we have a very popular speaker in our area who is not listed on the evidence-based practices. So that did come up. We talked about how the evidence-based practices are aligned with the National Research Project. When we were talking about which evidence-based practices to present on, we decided to pick the ones that we thought were most common and most impactful. They started their presentations off with a pre-test, and they finished with a post-test, so you can see the results there for reinforcement. And this is Eldon Carpenter. He is actually a behavior specialist in ABC Unified, and he likes to use funny cartoons in his presentation. And he started off with just very basic information about reinforcement, but then he advanced into more advanced topics so that everyone in the audience would gain something from the presentation.
And the second evidence-based practice that was chosen was ABI, antecedent-based interventions. And so the other 2 presenters that you see there that I co-presented with are Dustin Thornburg, who is a school psychologist and has a BCBA, and Jeff Sammons, who is also a BCBA and is now at another district, but came down just to present for our conference. So what we focused on was part 2 of the implementation checklist. So we know that it's planning, use, and monitoring. It makes it very simple, so it's very easy to create these trainings. It's not recreating or reinventing the wheel. So we focused on these bullets here, using learner preferences to make it engaging, to make it fun, and the following. And then there was social narratives, which we also tied to other EBPs. So it can be used with the following with ABI. So none of these, or not none of these, but many of them can be used in coordination and collaboration. They're not used in isolation. Like reinforcement is used across the board. And because we had participants with diverse levels of knowledge and expertise, it was kind of covering a spectrum or range to be able to speak to everyone. And social narratives included the use of, or not the use, but describing social stories, social articles, cartooning, comic strip conversations, power cards, and social autopsies. So those are all the points, all the strategies that are outlined within the module. So all of that can be found on Affirm. So the fourth EBP that was highlighted is video modeling. And again, we can use this strategy with other EBPs such as scripting. So for many of you, most of you here, these are very familiar EBPs. And so for those that were more comfortable with these concepts, it was more revisiting. Are we implementing these EBPs with Fidelity? And for those people who weren't familiar, it was an introduction, and they would be able to revisit these modules at their own time, which really helps in going through them. And we see the pre and post test scores are provided there. So 75% pre and then greater than 86 post. And what the participants had to say at the end, there were 2 questions that were highlighted here. What was the most valuable part of this conference? And you can see they were all very positive comments. They really enjoyed the videos, the examples, and also some of the case studies that were provided. So those are all really engaging and interactive things that everybody loves. And how would you like it to be implemented? Implemented was inclusion of more general education was really something that came up frequently.
My name is Melissa Rose, and I'm an autism specialist consultant for Fresno County SELPA. I'm also a school psychologist, and I have my BCBA.
I'm Heidi Baldwin. I'm the other autism specialist, and my background is a classroom teacher.
So I kind of dragged Heidi along. She was out for a week when we came back from winter break, and I worked on this, so I put it together, and Heidi's up here for moral support. We wanted to really introduce an idea for how to work on training on the EBPs, because anytime you come up and say, hey, I'm going to talk about EBPs, half the people run away. So we had an idea. How can we introduce it in a meaningful way? How can we talk about these things that we need to talk about and people need to hear, but without looking at this the whole time? Or looking at this, but how can you actually dissect it? And so what we did is we really deconstructed it, and instead of looking at it from an EBP perspective, we looked at it from a needs perspective. So what are your students' needs? How can you meet those needs? Make goals, and then develop intervention plans. And so we broke it down by skill deficit. And so when you look at the top of the grid, you have your skill deficits at the top of the grid. And we took those skill deficits in all 27 EBPs and just kind of put them in, where they would fit, but also where we could introduce them and look at them without becoming overwhelming for the participants. So what we did is for each of those skill domains, so it's going to go through each of the skill domains. And so like your social, your communication, your adaptive, motor. So with those skill domains is what we did is you can see we defined it at the top, and those definitions are in the NPDC report. What we really wanted to do is take that skill domain and identify it with those EBPs and take it so the participants could really look at it and learn from it and develop something for their own students. And just like IEPs are driven by that whole needs, goals, intervention, and services, we kind of took that same approach with the EBPs. And so we personalized our training so that way participants would look at their students and look at their students' needs and look at their students' strengths. And then look at, okay, those needs and strengths, which actual skills are we looking at teaching? And with those skills that we're teaching, which EBPs are gonna meet those skills? And which ones can we use? Which ones do we know about? Which ones can we improve on? And which ones can we really use to teach and implement these interventions to teach those skills that we want to teach? And so we did that, And we use the implementation checklist. And so for this one in particular is how we introduce the implementation checklist. For cognitive domain, or the skill domain, we talked about social intervention, so like social narratives, and we talked about social skills training, and we looked at how, like specifically with social skills training, it's hard because there's no one way to do it. There's not like one curriculum you can go and implement. You have to actually look at the implementation checklist and how it's implemented for whether or not that curriculum is going to be beneficial for the students that you're working with. This one was antecedent-based intervention, so taking the students' needs and, interests and building it in, incorporating it into the academics so that way you can work on the actual academics. And we would give specific stories when we were doing our presentations to really link it to students and linking it to the participants we had in our training. Along with this, we also talked about how you can tie in multiple EBPs. So like for this one, we talked about task analysis, but it's also you're using visual supports and you're using exercise for this one. So multiple EBPs at the same time. And then on top of it, we've also been doing, so when we do our training and outreach, it's not just we have a training scheduled and people come to us. We've been doing a lot of training going to them. And so we've tailored this type of training where we're introducing evidence-based practices to actual school sites instead of just having kind of you sign up and come to me sort of a training. So when we go out to the school site, we know where we're going. We know the kids that we're seeing at those school sites because we've worked there. And then we know the staff, and we can tailor it where we have admin sitting next to the speech therapist, sitting next to the gen ed teachers, next to the RSP teachers. Everybody's in the same room, and we can talk about all of these things together. And that's part of why we wanted to take away the words, the evidence-based practices, and just focus on the students' needs and go from there to goals to intervention and services. And then at the end, we would wrap it up with the EBP identification and talking about the labels and talking about, hey, you guys may be already doing these things and reinforcing the fact that they're doing it, and by the way, they're evidence-based practices. So, and this is where we would link it to their own experiences by using kind of a describing that kid, and then after we go into all those skill domains and the EBPs, then we go into, okay, remember that kid you talked about in the beginning that you're struggling with? How can you help them using the EBP chart? And so really, really tying it in and giving them the tools to do it versus us just giving them a lot of ideas on how to do it. We also did a pre and post survey just on knowledge, on use of EBPs and that sort of thing. And that was the only time we talked about the EBPs until the end, was when we did that pre and post. We have our Central Valley captain that we've had some good people that have put together a slide where we talk about Facebook. We have an Instagram and a Twitter account that we try to post on. Some of us are better than others about posting. I'm the Facebook person, and I haven't posted in a few months. And then we also talk about linking with Affirm and the Captain websites. We really tried to tie all of the pieces together in our intro training. And it really is a work in progress, just as anything is. So I think the time that it takes to prepare for staff development is huge. All of you that do presentations, it takes a lot of time. And then it's really important to make sure that you can give them the tools, but teach them how to use it. And I think that's what we took away from it, was we can tell them about EBPs all day long, but if we're not teaching them how to use the tools, then we're not getting anywhere.